absolutely. They will come back.
If you look at the 90s, again, I wasn't really buying home in the early 90s. I might have been riding my bike. But,
even after they bought, regardless of how long that process was, Josh just never disappears, never goes away.
No, you can't in Fort Erie.
Well, exactly. They're going to see you at Timmy's every morning.
Hey, sorry for not touching base in the last 5 years. Life, man. I apologize.
Yeah, what's changed since the last time we talked?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Complete Realtor podcast. As always, I'm Mike Machado here, team leader at KW Complete. Today, very special guest, Josh McKenzie. Josh has a team out of Fort Erie with our office, and we're just going to have a chat, kind of know what's going on in your marketplace, as well as what's been going on in the overall market. But I want to kind of go back a little bit. If you want to share with people, when did you get your license? What kind of gave you the idea of becoming a realtor? What did that look like in the beginning for you?
Yeah. So I got my license in 2011. The steps getting there, I was working for a bank. The real reason I got my license was, they were basically telling me how much I could make, when you could go to the washroom, when you could, take vacations. And I realized I don't think that was the life for me. I always wanted to get into the corporate side of things, but life took me a different way, and I wrote my license, got into real estate at 2011. I was 24. I joined Royal LePage at the time. And then in 2019, I joined KW.
Oh, wow. So I was 24 when I got my license. Mind you, that was over 20 years ago. But 2019, I came back to Keller Williams, this office. So yeah, small world. Now, are you born and raised in Fort Erie? Is that where all that took place?
Yeah. So, I went to school in Fort Erie, high school in Fort Erie, hockey in Fort Erie, sports in Fort Erie. My family, my dad ran his business in Fort Erie. So, born and bred in Fort Erie. The business is predominantly out of Fort Erie, but I do, I'll do all of Niagara and sometimes even outer parts if need be.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because every realtor that I talk to that does trade in a small town, realistically, I'm from Fort Erie or I'm from Selkirk. The reality is anything that's within half an hour is around the corner.
It is. Yeah. From my door to Niagara Falls is 15 minutes, 20 minutes. St. Catharines, same thing. So it's not actually. Just recently I'm up in Brantford, and it's before maybe I wouldn't go there, but it's an hour and 20. It's, it's worth it to drive.
Okay, fair. Now, for people that are watching, aren't familiar with Fort Erie, tell us a bit about that market, population, demographic, where it is in the province, for those who aren't familiar with Fort Erie.
So I guess for most people, Fort Erie is the last stop before Buffalo. However, it's a running joke that people just pass by. But, our town is awesome. We've got the Niagara Boulevard, great parkway there where people boat on the river. We've got Lake Erie right there. So we're surrounded by water. Our seasons are great. Everyone thinks we get a whole lot of snow, but I'll tell you, most of the time, I think Toronto gets more snow than Fort Erie. And then if we don't get it, the South Towns and Buffalo get it. Yeah. Demographic, I think we just got over 30,000 people. So it's still relatively a small town. You've got your main corridors or your main, downtown Ridgeway, Fort Erie, and the North End. But we're starting to finally see more development, more restaurants coming in, but it's been a while, for it to come in.
Okay. No, fair. And the one thing that, because I know your marketplace, and I want other people to understand about your marketplace, I give a lot of credit to realtors who trade in marketplaces like yours. Because unlike working, Ancaster, let's say, or Oakville, where it's really cookie cutter subdivision for the most part, when you're trading in those small towns like you are, you got properties that are, circa 1920s. You got your 1960s back splits with aluminum wiring. You're dealing with rural properties on septic and well. You're unloading the odd cottage or two. You're selling vacant land. The local storefront downtown you're dealing with. So you really have to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, you do. It's actually well said. You go from, showing houses in a few subdivisions to then going to a 2-acre property that hopefully has natural gas. If not, certain areas have propane. So you need to understand that septic, holding tanks, and to your point, some of these houses are from the 20s. You get in certain areas in our town called Thunder Bay area, you'll have a brand new 2-story next to a 800 square foot cottage, or now it's all season. And then next to it is a raised ranch, and then next to it. So it's a different variety of all different homes, but I mean, it's definitely not cookie cutter, except for the newer subdivisions that are coming in. They're sort of doing the 35-foot frontage, 70 deep, your 2-story home. Those are more of like the developments that are coming in right now.
And you guys have seen a massive influx from what I recall. Like, just as COVID hit, you guys had this massive influx of new construction builds happen.
We did. It was, Fort Erie, and we were talking about this earlier, when before COVID or during COVID and during the crazy times in the market, we're on the last stop on the horseshoe, right? Everything GTA, all the price points, right? When Oakville and Burlington and Hamilton, all these areas got too expensive, they all made their way slowly past St. Catharines, and then they saw Fort Erie when our price points were much lower than anyone else in Niagara. And during that time, obviously, they went through the roof as well. I believe our mean price got into the 800s at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, which was crazy. And I mean,
and relative to what it was, let's say in 2017, like how much? I think
our stats came back, like we're down into the mid 500s again, the average. So if it's probably the exact same in 17, well, maybe not that high in 17, but 19 and 20 were probably around those price points. So you're starting to see, like, we were selling raised ranches for an area which probably most people don't know, but say Crescent Park, we were selling them for $775, $850. Now those same houses right now are $575 to $650.
Wow.
If there's going to be a 7, it's got to be something spectacular, renovated, and even then, right now in this market, it's tough.
So from the peak, your town or your market has seen a 250,000 plus.
I would say adjustment. So. I would say 30% decline, if not more, depending. And I mean, our supply is quite high. Like for a snapshot, I believe in all of Niagara, and don't quote me on it, but I believe there was about 278 detached listings when the height of COVID or the height of the market was. Fort Erie had, at the lowest I saw, detached, and this was on the old system, so it was a little easier to search for listings and all that. I believe we had 60. That was it. I think Port had 13 listings. Fort Erie right now, detached, single-family homes, not talking semis, land, commercial, condo, multi-investments, anything like that. We are almost at 400. So that's just Fort Erie alone. I think Port, in Port, you're in the hundreds, so you keep going and you look at the supply, and it's like COVID 278 for all of Niagara. That includes Grimsby all the way to Fort Erie. And now Fort Erie alone has +4. Well, +400, including other listings.
Residential units.
So
what's your month supply like right now?
Sorry?
Month supply there. 7 months supply probably?
Oh, I bet you it's a year. It's a year. I mean, it'd have to be a year.
A year.
At least of supply. I mean, I'll have to double check the numbers, but I was looking at, over 14 days, how many new listings were there, right? And we were basically, for every day, we were listing 4 and maybe selling 1. Maybe.
Wow.
So, you need a 300% increase just to keep up with the supply. You need another 300% on top of that to start chewing the supply. So for Fort Erie, if I'm doing my math, it's like we need to see either a 500% increase or a 600% increase to really start chipping away that supply, really to, start bringing these prices back up if that's where the market's going. But, you can see where the market's going.
I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, but I mean, I've been telling all the agents in our office, and I'm sure you feel the same way in your marketplace, everyone's hoping that 2026 we get a rebound. All the numbers, all the data I'm seeing is not showing that at all. What are your thoughts and what are you seeing on your end? Because I know you're also in the money markets as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's tough for agents because, they are there to make sales. It is a way of life. It is a way of living that people do need to sell. But I think giving good advice and keeping it honest will always win in the long run, right? And so I'm in the thought of, in the stats that I've looked at, 60% of mortgages, all mortgages in Canada, residential, let's say, are coming due at the end of 2026. So, that looks like an extra, maybe depending on your mortgage size, 300 to 3,000, maybe extra payments going towards debt. You look at our economy, the growth is slow, unemployment's up, right? So you add that into it. I feel like if you're looking to sell and get the most out of your home right now, this would be the time to sell, because we don't know what the Bank of Canada is going to do. We don't know if they're going to lower rates even more. We don't know if they're going to introduce 50-year mortgages like you see in the States. They're starting to talk about that. But we also know that stats or economic stats are lagged by 18 months. So I feel like, and you might be in agreement or not, but I feel like those mortgages, the rates that were at 5.5% or 6.5%, that we're now feeling those effects.
Yeah, that's
right.
Exactly it.
We're feeling the effects of those people no longer going out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for dinner. They're now going out Friday. Like it used to be back in the day. You get paid and you go out maybe Saturday for dinner and take the family out. When times were good, everyone was out 7 days a week eating. And you can see it when you drive around, and especially my town, you can see the restaurants aren't as busy. You can see the shopping centers aren't as busy. You can see the landscape companies, all these things.
All the car dealers are full with cars on the lots.
You can see it. So now you go, okay, where is this market going? Everyone's talking about, 2026 year. It's like rates can come down. They can. But I feel Canadians are right now, their backs are against the wall financially. I feel like most Canadians are in heavy debt, consumer debt.
Yep.
They can't refinance their homes anymore to take care of the BMW or the memberships or the credit card debt, right? To stay how they're keeping their life. And people don't want to, give up certain things. They want to keep the facade going. And I think that's where we're getting in trouble. And so you tack on that. Now you tack on extra payments going towards debt instead of into the economy. To me, that spells trouble. But that also, for people that aren't in the market, spells opportunity, right? So unfortunately, when someone is losing something, someone is gaining something.
Absolutely.
Right? So, for people that are looking to sell, I think this is a great little pocket. Or, you hold on to your home. Or if someone's buying, you make sure that home can fit their need. Is this home, can you live in this home for 5 to 7 years in case the market doesn't rebound? If you're going to have a child, 2 kids, is this home big enough that if something unexpected or expected happens, you can weather the storm, right? And that's a good agent should be asking those questions and talking about those things. At least in my mind, that's what I would be doing to protect your buyer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And I think for most consumers, it is a great market to buy. I mean, if you're moving up, the gap is the smallest we've ever seen it, or at least seen it in a long time. And over time, things always improve, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if you think back to when even you started, 2011, 2012, and you said to somebody, it's like, hey, buy a house now. But just so you know, prices are going to go like this. They're going to go down. They're going to go up. But yet you're still winning. So if you had bought in 2011, 2012, 2017, even though the market dipped in 2008 and rebounded, even though there was a slight hiccup in 2018 and it rebounded, COVID went through the roof, even though we've seen a $250,000 plus adjustment downward, you're still way ahead than you were if you bought in 2012.
Yeah. And the people that bought in 2021 and 2022, like, it's not to say that those prices won't come back.
Absolutely. They will come back.
If you look at the 90s, again, I wasn't really buying home in the early 90s. I might have been riding my bike. But, after that, the 80s high interest rate spike, real estate was flat for 5 to 8 years, right? And I think the problem that a lot of agents or a lot of people in Canada were fed was that real estate never goes down. It always goes up, right? To a fact, yes, but there's peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, do I want to live in a world where the average home in Fort Erie is $1 million? No. Unless, there's an industry or there's a reason that, the income and the wages match that. Sure, fine, right? But I think, as long as you can hold your home and afford it, then you don't lose, right? And unfortunately, in this market, there are people that over-levered themselves and are in this situation. But fortunately, that's life. And people over-leverage themselves in situations they shouldn't have.
Yeah. And you make a good point. Like at the end of the day, if you plan to buy a home and live in it, you only lose if you sell it.
That's it.
Right. So if you don't sell it, if you make adjustments, if you need to rent out the basement or go out for less takeout, whatever the case may be, you only lose if you sell.
Well, and that's the one thing I tried to, in 2022 when I was dealing with my buyers was one, I tried to tell them wait, but unfortunately for them, they've watched the market for a year and a half, basically outprice them, and FOMO and fear sets in. Right. And I get that. That's a natural thing that happens. It happens with me sometimes when investing into, stocks and that you start seeing the price go and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. I'm going to buy it. And then, it goes down. You're like, I should have been patient. And I sympathize with those buyers that felt like I'm never going to own a home. Right. I just think that was a bunch of BS that was fed to them and in that. But I made sure with any buyer that I had, it was like, look, if you're going to buy at this price, let's make sure the home fits for you. If you have to be here for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If you can't, if you're buying this for a 3-year life, a 3 to 5 year life plan, then I wouldn't be buying it. I'd be buying something that can fit that 5 to 10 in case, like we talked about, certain things show up or,
Yeah, because life happens even though we don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
Life always has a funny way of
showing up.
Showing up. But let's get out of the consumer talk.
Yeah.
I want to get down to talking about the real estate side of it from the agent perspective. Obviously you're an experienced agent. You've done very well. At one point, did you decide to grow a team? Right. So I want to start with that first.
Yeah.
At what stage or how many years in did you decide to get an assistant?
Yeah. So it was 2000 that was the reason I moved to KW and it's not a shot against Royal or anything. Love those guys. They were great.
Sure.
It was the fact that KW was providing training, and they were a little ahead of the times. I felt when I was seeing teams pop up, why is an agent wanting to take on more responsibility, more stress? Like, people joke like, oh, it's an agent, it's easy. And when you really look at it, like it is a grind. And we're seeing that with agents that have been in the business for a while, new agents, like besides that little, market there in 2021, 2022, real estate really is a grind, and so for me, I was like, okay, we don't have pensions. We don't have all these different things. What is a way that if I decided to go off the hamster wheel, right, and not sell or something like that, how could I supplement my income? And, the previous brokerage really couldn't answer that. And that's where KW came in. You could see all the teams at KW. They were really focused on growth and mentoring, training, how to grow a team. They had courses, they had all this. And I thought that was a great move to expand, my business. And then I believe I made my first admin hire in 2019 or 20. Terrible. Great lessons learned. Did not ask the right questions. Was more or less just happy to hire.
Yeah.
And that was a big
And by
mistake.
the way, for anyone watching, you always mess up your first and many times your second hire.
Probably even the fourth. All the way. And that was, but you know what? I look at it like people, and that's the one thing is people might look at it as a failure, but I realize it's a way in how not to do something. Like I learned from that. I'm like, okay, I did not ask the right questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was hiring. I've never hired before. Never asked the right questions. Never, you're right. And so it's like, okay, where did you mess up? Okay, I messed up there. Okay, next hire. Asked a few more questions. Again, not the right hire.
And relative to all industries, though, if you ask a bricklayer, if you ask a convenience store owner, if you ask the restaurant owner, it's the same thing for them. Like the first hires, second hires don't always work out. And sometimes, even if it wasn't a bad hire necessarily, you hired who you knew you needed at that point.
Exactly.
And sometimes as your business grows, your employees doesn't grow with it.
Yep.
And you have to replace them sometimes.
Yeah. I would say like, especially for an admin, like depending on what you're looking for, right? If you're looking for someone just to do the paperwork for your deals, or are you looking for that support staff that's going to help you take you to the next level, right? Create the back systems, create, all those systems so that, when an agent joins your team, they can just plug and play in it. Or, looking at growing, helping you grow. Are they doing outreach? Are they doing certain activities, right? So that's another whole entire conversation. But yeah, it took me 4 different hires till I got to an admin that, and which was great. She was in real estate before, and so she understands the nuances of it. But it took me from 2020 basically to 2025, if not the end of 2024, to find that hire. Right? Some people will be like, "Oh, it took you 4 years." We're like, "Yeah, but I got there.
Yeah.
I got the hire. Now I've got a foundation." Because I made the mistake of grabbing a few admins, slamming a bunch of agents on my team with no foundation, right? And I'd rather build out a wide foundation, have that solid, and then go up, right? And I think sometimes when you're in real estate or agent, you start doing well, you're like, okay, I need the admin, I need the buyer, I need the inside sales agent, I need the seller, I need this. And then your expenses grow. You're just running around with your head cut off trying to put out fires instead of just doing something really well.
Yep.
Being a really good agent, understanding that, getting your admin in, building your systems on the back, and sometimes just staying quiet or staying in one place and doing it well. And then once everything is smooth, then it grows. You're not in competition. I'm not in competition with you. I'm not in competition with any other agent. But sometimes we do that. We go, oh, dang, he got 4 agents this year. Oh man, his team's doing $1 million in GIC. I'm only doing 200,000. I'm a failure. It's like, no, you're doing great. You go at your own pace, right? And my pace is probably a little slower than others, but I've just messed up enough to realize I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have to hire again, or not that I don't want to hire again. It's that I know that process and how long it takes then to get back up running, the training, and then you start again. Right. So that's sort of,
No, it's funny you say that because it's so true. So many agents are just obsessed with the facade of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what it is. It's the begging rights. It's what I get to share on my socials that I'm this, 10 agent team.
Puffing up the chest.
18 agent team. And then you look at the financials or you look at the profit margins. It's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it
looks good on a billboard.
Well, with every investment, it's kind of there's investments that you have a high ROI, but they create a lot of headaches.
Yep.
And then you got other investments that you get a lower ROI, but there's little to no headaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have a balance of the two.
Yep.
And it's like, you can have the 10-person team or the 18, 20 agent team, but if all you have is headaches and you don't have the ROI to return it, it's why. And I think you're on the right path of, you know what, get my first hire, get that right, make sure that's a well-oiled machine there. Once that's done, I move to the next spectrum of the business,
right,
and get my sales agent, get them into production at a level that they're doing good business. Most importantly, I'm always a big fan of doing good business. They're not shady. They're doing good business. They're keeping your reputation to what your standard is. And it's like, okay, when that individual's maxed out on production, you get the next one.
Exactly.
As opposed to just, I'm hiring 10 people because I have, 500 leads that came in. Yeah. It's a recipe for disaster.
And I did the recipe for disaster. I went out and I took a bunch of agents and, it's a great learning experience, but they were newer into the business. And, the first thing is, where's my leads? Right.
Yeah.
And and it looked good. It looked good on a business card. It looked good on my website. Everyone crossed their arms, me in the middle with 4 agents on each side. Or I think at one point I had 5 or 6, it was a great bragging thing. Yeah, I'm Josh. I got a real estate team in Fort Erie, 5, 6 agents, but it was more headaches because I wasn't focused enough on it, and was my heart in there for the people, right? And that's the one thing I think any agent that is going to grow a team, like, you really have to put them before you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I think that's the hardest thing is you have to realize that your sales are going to digress and you got to lift them up and you have to be okay. And I remember, Dan and Sandy telling me that when we were always talking about growing teams is you have to take a back seat and grow them. And it's very tough, right? And what I've noticed with agents, and this could be totally wrong, but, brand new agents, 0 to 3 years. They do 10 deals, maybe year 2, year 3, they're like, okay, I'm out, right? I can do this on my own. In a good market, they don't want to be on a team because the signs are selling themselves. In a bad market, they don't want to be a team because the splits are too high, right? So it's that fine line of figuring out how to grow a team properly, how to give them a value proposition that is worth their money, worth their time, and also yours, right? So, I've sort of created a bit of a hybrid system, which I think will work. that doesn't involve too much time, but also gives them a value proposition of joining a team, right? And we'll see if that works out.
Well, and I'm going to help you develop that as well and take that to the next level for sure. But let's circle back to the current times in this market. Obviously, you've made a lot of adjustments with the team and everything like that. And for a lot of people watching, they're not necessarily, building teams. They may be on a team or they're mostly solo agents for watching this. With this market, you've been doing this a long time, and rather it coming from me, I want it to come from you. How have you had to adjust with this market? And I don't mean from a sales tactic perspectives, but even on a mental level. Because I've always been a firm believer that, majority of the results any agent will have in this market, most of it comes from mental awareness. And I know you share those same thoughts. So I want to turn to you and, how has Josh adjusted to this market? What things have you done differently? How have you mentally adjusted to stay focused or get focused again? Because we all fall off the wagon.
Oh, for sure. I mean, being perfectly honest, I'd say 2024 was one of my worst years in real estate in 10 years. And we were talking about this off camera, made some investments, a bunch of investments, leveraged. And instead of crawling in a ball and giving up, every day I would go to my office, I would lay on the floor, do my, breath work. I would do my meditations and just see, what I wanted to see, right? That you are successful, you are abundant, all these things, right? Even though maybe the outside world is seeing things different, for me mentally, it was like, okay, you can do a few things here. 1, you can give up. 1, you can lose it all. Or 3, you can dig down and get out of this, right? You put yourself here, you can get yourself out. And I think that's the mentality an agent, I think, needs is you're an entrepreneur, first and foremost. Mike, you're not calling me every day to say, hey, Josh, did you do your calls? Hey, Josh, did you follow up? Hey, Josh, did you check the market? Where are the listings at? That's on us, right?
Yeah.
So every morning now it's like I do my outreach. I am messaging people, right? Like last year I had focuses in some other areas that took away from real estate. And I realized, okay, why did I only do X amount of deals last year? Was it the brokerage's fault? No. It was my fault. It was, and the economy as well didn't help. But when we were talking about this, it's like, it's going to be so exciting getting out of this. And that's what fuels me is, man, the next step. Like if you can survive now, or you can do even better now, when the market turns, you're going to be so much above everyone else because you've gone back to the basics. And I think that's a problem with the agents is we got spoiled there for, I don't know, 2 to 4 years. I mean, some marketplaces got spoiled for, a lot of time. For us, I would say in Southern Niagara, we got spoiled for 2 to 4 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Fort Erie, it felt like maybe 1 year. But, we got lazy. I think a lot of agents got lazy. I think a lot of agents just relied on the market to do their selling, where now you're starting to see agents being like, how do I sell?
Yeah, no, you know what? It's funny you say that because I was even talking to Callum and some of the other agents here earlier this year. We were having a mastermind and I came out and said it and everyone's like, yeah, you know what? I actually did the same thing and never want to admit it. And during that hot market, because it really started in 2019, it started heat up and then because COVID was coming, the government just stimulated the crap out of the market and we put fuel on fire.
Yep.
And I found that market, we were just pushovers and we were just servants.
Yep. And
we were running with our chickens with their heads cut off.
Yep.
Right? Like I don't know about you, but I had less family time. I had less personal time.
Yep.
Because it's like you had a buyer, but guess what? They just lost their 5th offer in a row.
Yeah.
Now they're pissed and they want to go see homes again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So we were doing 2 to 3 offers a day sometimes in hopes that we would land one that week.
Yeah.
Never mind that day.
Yeah.
And because it was so hectic for like 3 years that when 2024 hit, I was like, I'm just going to be reactive. If the phone rings, I'll take it. But I'm okay not grounding right now.
Yeah.
And like many, I also didn't have a great year 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the sole provider of my household. I mean, no one starved. Our lifestyle stayed intact, but it was nothing compared to what I did in the past. But it was almost intentional of fatigue. It was like, thank God that crazy market's over.
Yeah.
I just want to coast now.
Yeah.
The problem was no one expected 2025.
I know we've been
to just go downward even more.
Yeah.
And some of us came March break of this year and went,
where's the market?
we got to roll up our sleeves and get back to work.
That's
was kind of the epiphany a lot of us had.
Yep.
And I'm sure you shared the same thing.
Yeah, it's, I think that it's spot on, right? We got lazy. And I think, going back to and I'll be honest, I didn't do an open house for years. I would just give them to the agents because I was like, I don't need to do them. Now it's like, all right, I need to do them.
I want to do it.
I'm back. I'll do them Saturday. I'll do them Sunday. I'll drive to Brantford. I'll drive here. I'll drive there. For me, it gets the fire going again, right? And, again, I think, talking, we're not out of it yet. But if you can start doing these things right? You might not get rewarded for a month or two, especially newer agents. I know it's a grind out there. It's hard. You sit there and you're messaging and you're phoning and you're emailing. And if you're door knocking or cold calling, it is tiring, but that's what it takes until you have that clientele. And for me, I've been in it for 14 years, basically. Most of my clientele now is referral based, right?
Yeah.
I guess I've gotten to that status where you've spent that much time that people go, hey, I got a guy, or hey, I bought my house from Josh, or, I sold my house with Josh. Here's his number. And that's nice, but it's taken me 14 years to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
And the funny thing is when, a lot of new agents will ask, when do I get to that status? Yeah. And the funny thing is I've met many agents that have been in the business 14 years. Mm-hmm. Some have been 30 years. Mm-hmm. That still have to grind because they don't get the referrals. Mm-hmm. You being the status of mm-hmm. most of my business referrals is a sign of the level of service you've delivered to mm-hmm. clients when they transacted with you.
Yep.
But more importantly, it also shines to how you've always been in their lives.
Yeah. And I think, and this is the hard part too, is, real estate can get very transactional, and there are certain brokerages or there's certain teams that are just hammer out deal. Great. No throwing shade there. But the one thing I always try to tell my clients, or at least show them, is listen, this is your biggest purchase of your life, or this is the biggest sale of your asset of your life, right? These purchases and sales are huge. We are in control or helping someone unload or buy the biggest price point in their life, right? And I want to let them know that there's no rush, right? And I think just being genuine, being look, I'm here for you. Whether it takes me 30 homes for you to buy, or it takes you 100, right? And that's sort of always worked my business, letting them know, I get it. This is the biggest decision in your life, whether to sell or to buy. And
a lot of your clients, even after they've bought,
mm-hmm.
regardless of how long that process
mm-hmm.
was, Josh just never disappears, never goes away.
No, you can't in Fort Erie.
Well, exactly. They're going to see you at Timmy's every morning. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, you've always stayed in touch. And
yep.
When they needed the furnace guy, or they needed to finish their basement,
yep.
or they needed their porch done.
You try to do as much as you can, right? And sometimes I think you feel guilty. And this is, it might be too much honesty, but sometimes I feel guilty because it's you're friends with them, right? With I obviously have to deal with friends, I deal with family, and then you've got clients that sort of become friends. Mm-hmm. And, in that process of, let's just call it 1 to 3 months for the sake of this conversation, that you're showing them homes, you're basically texting every day with them. Hey, how's it going? Hey, yep. Did you check out this listing? You see this? Oh man, I can't believe the Jays. Oh, you're almost having that relationship. And then it's they get the house, and then you're like, okay.
Did we break up?
Yeah, right? Or it's okay, that's over. But then, because it's tough. I find that I become, I wouldn't say all friends, but very close or whatever with your clients. But then it's okay, now I've got my family, I've got my friends, and now I've got 200 clients that I also am friends. How do I keep that up? So then it does have to go back to that, okay, I'm going to put you on a 3-month or a 4-month follow-up, whether it's email or it's just a quick text message, or it's a comment on Facebook, or it's a comment on Instagram, to let them know that, hey, you weren't just there for me to get paid. I do honestly care about that. Oh, congrats on the new kid, or, happy birthday. And people may think that that's fake, but I don't think so. I think it's genuine if, you're really just being this is as much as I can allot to this, because you still have life, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I find that clients themselves know and understand that.
Yeah.
Right? I remember once I went to a real estate seminar workshop, as every couple of years, you'll go to a workshop that you're just like, oh my God, I'm doing this business all wrong. I'm going to do it differently. Time. And I remember the exercise was, shame on you. You should be getting more referrals. You need to reconnect with all your clients. And here's how you're going to do that. You're going to call all your clients and say, oh my God, it's been so long since we connected, but you know how life gets, and watch the response. And sure enough, I went home and I did the exercise because, I really wanted to boost my business. And sure enough, every single call that I made that started like that was, hey, I know it's been a long time since I called, but you know how life gets. Every single one of them would apologize. Mike, we're so sorry. We haven't called you. And, we've just been busy with the house. And then we had baby number 1 and then baby number 2. We're expecting a third. And life's just been crazy for us. By the way, how are things? And I was just like, you know what? It's true. They get it.
That's a really good.
That we have other clients and we have other things and their lives have also gotten busy, right?
It's a really good point, actually. I might steal that.
No, please.
Because I do it because you have at least for me, you almost have this guilty feeling when you're, say you haven't talked to them in 5 years and in your head, the mortgage is coming up and they know, oh, is that why are you contacting me? Because I bought in, 2020 in January and it's coming up, right?
Yep.
And you're like, shucks. But to that point, it is true. It's not that you're timing it to give them a call when the renewal's coming up. It's just life gets busy. And so being honest with them is like, I'm sorry, man. It's just busy. Yeah. And I don't have the time to be friends with every single client possibly, but I just want to let you know, I am here again. Sorry for not checking in. Anything new in the family, anything new, how's your life? How's real estate needs? You good? Or maybe you don't even preference real estate. You just check in and say, hey, sorry for not touching base in the last 5 years. Life, man, I apologize.
Yeah. What's changed since the last time we talked?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. And just end the conversation at that. Yeah. And like I said, they
and then a follow up in case you're looking to buy or sell now.
We're gonna edit that part. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's the thing. You know what? When it's genuine, clients always know.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what words are used, what script, whatever you say, people just know genuineness. And if you're just genuine when you're talking to them, they know.
Yeah.
They truly do, and they'll keep in touch. So to wrap this up, there's a lot of agents struggling right now. Experienced or new. So anyone that's watching this podcast, given that we're in a tough market right now, what would your advice be? What would be 3 things that you would give as advice to anyone who's struggling or entering the business right now in this market? I think one is mindset. I think that's the first thing you need to have, right? You've been in the business for a while, a long time. I've been in the business, I guess you could say, for a long time now. And it's that mindset. You're an entrepreneur first and foremost. You are in charge of getting up and going to work. It's not your job to tell me to do anything. It's my job. So if you're an agent, realize you're an entrepreneur first and foremost. You don't work for anyone. You don't have a 9 to 5. It's on you to get up, to do your lead gen, to go out, to be social, to do your cold calls, whatever that your niche is. I'm not a cold caller. I'm not a door knocker. I am more social, right? So I'm out at the restaurants. I'm out at events. I'm, wherever I can to be seen. That's what I realized I wasn't doing, right? So I think one, in mindset, that, 2, I think, work ethic. We might be overlapping here a bit, but I think it's mindset, work ethic. And 3, don't get discouraged. I think, this is a tough market, but if you can make it in this market, then you make it in any market. And that's what gives me, that excites me, right? Is okay, let's survive this. Let's get out of this. Let's go back to the basics. Let's build some good work ethics here, or some things that you can do repeatedly. And when the market does change, we're not saying it's ever going to go back to 2022, but we are going to come back up. Supply is going to get crunched one day. People will have the savings again. The rates will be down again. We're not saying they're ever going to go back to where they were, where your variables were 1% or anything, but the market right now is trying to figure itself out. And it's in a buyer's market. Eventually it will move back into an equilibrium, and then it will go back to a seller's market. And it's just cyclical, right? So if you've got a good mindset, you realize that this is tough. You need to have work ethic. I think, I love reading meditation books, self-help books. They're, especially for times like this, right? I think you have to be strong mentally, because it's very easy to give up. Be like, this isn't working.
I mean, I could have given up last year, but like, you know what? 14 years in the business and I had a year like I did my 4th year in, I'm not made for this. It's like, no, I'll show you that I'm made for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to hit it harder. Maybe next year will be a 5% or a 10% increase, but the next year will be another 5%. And that compounding interest on production.
Yep.
And then you're 2027, 2028, and you're like, why was I so stressed? Why was I so worried? I just went back to basics and did.
Yeah.
So.
No, I love that advice because you're right. Mindset is everything, always is, always will be in any venture, any industry. I think now more than ever. But what I love that you added that most people don't add is work ethic. Because I find that you can work on mindset all you want, but if you don't put the actions behind it, now you're just entertaining yourself.
But that's it, right? I feel like it's tough because a lot of agents, you get into the business, I'm going to be my own boss. People don't tell me what to do, but then they come to you and be like, why aren't you telling me what to do? Why aren't you checking up on me? Why aren't you calling me? Why aren't you doing this? You're like, do you want to be an employee or do you want to be an employer? Right. And it's like, for us, you're an entrepreneur. There's no one there waking you up or telling you to go to bed or telling you to read anything or study things or whatever it is. Like I find as a real estate agent, you need to understand the economy. So if your lead gen's done, go read stats, go read something that when you're out, whether you understand it fully or not. I mean, I know it's a little, cheesy, but buzzwords, man. Like I know it's sort of cheating in one sense, but if you're able to talk to someone and explain some things in the economy that are happening, they're like, oh, okay, you're not just an agent. You understand what's going on. You're not just there to sell my home or buy my home. You're there to educate me. You're to educate you on where we are in the market, where we are in the cycle, right? Then they come to you and they see you as a man or a woman of knowledge, right? That is, to me, you work on those things. You work on your well-being in this market, right? Like last year, the market was terrible for me. I worked on me. Like I was like, okay, I didn't have time, in 2022 and 2021, like you didn't have time to do certain things that you should be doing to help you weather a storm that's coming. We were just running around, selling. I don't need self-help. I don't need this book. I don't need that. I don't need this. I'm just making a ton of money. And then it all comes down and you're like, okay, you can either use this time to go, woe is me, or you can sit there and not build yourself back up, but really put in some character building things that, will better your life, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in marriage, whether it's at another job. And so for 2024, I just sat in my office and was like, okay, this is a time that it's going to be a struggle. You know it, but get through it. Do your meditations. Do these things that will help build you. And when you come out of it, you weather anything.
Yeah.
But that's sort of that.
I love that as a final note. Work on you and survive the market and you'll be fine.
Just work.
Yeah.
Just work.
Thanks again, Josh, for coming in. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Until I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great one.